this video will be handling the password reset on the server. This is where we do the actual update of our user password. Okay, so we'll be replacing the user password, the previous user password, with the new password that they just provided. Okay, so that the user can now log in with their newly created password. Okay, so without further talks, let's get to work. Right, so I'm going to go to our reset password server action, which we've created already since our last video. I'm going to get rid of that, and as we've always done, the first thing to do whenever you want to deal with data that is coming from the front end is to first validate your data, because you can never trust what your user will be sending to the server. Okay, so we are going to validate the data using the schema we created in the last video. If the validation is not successful, they are going to be returning an error response, a false response to the user. Okay, now we need to get a connection from our database. If the validation is successful, we're going to have clients. Okay, data type is going to be full client. We're going to be getting that from PG, or null. We're going to initialize it as a null variable. So after doing that, we need to have a try catch block. All right, so let's get a connection from here. I'm just going to have client is going to be equal to await. Okay, we're going to have a pool. We need to import that dot connect, because we'll be doing database transaction here, so we need to use a single database connection. Right, with Postgres, if you are going to be doing transactions, okay, your transaction must use the same connection. That is why we're getting dedicated connection from database. All right, so before this, we'll be needing a token and the password. So we have token, then we have a password. So we're going to have validated data, data. Okay, now after that, we need to check if there is a user with that reset token in the database. Okay, so we're going to have const, we're going to have rules. We're going to reset this. We are going to rename this to reset token. Okay, as alias. So we are going to have a wait. Then we're going to have client dot query. Okay, so the expected data structure we're going to have. This is a generic function. We're going to have user ID, which is number. Right? That is what we want to get from database. So here we're going to have a query. Okay. Actually, we can have it all in lowercase. All right, let's just follow convention. We're getting the user ID from the password reset table. Password reset table. Okay, this is the token that we stored in should be forgot password. Should be forgot password. Okay, so the token that we stored here, all right. So it is the token that we want to check if it is in a database at this point. Okay, so where I'm going to have a where token going to be lowercase where token equals $1. Okay, we provide that as a parameter. Experience at is greater than 9. Okay, now we need to provide the token. It's going to be token, right? So that is going to check if that token is available in a database. If it is available, then we are going to get the user ID that the token is attached to. All right. So now we need to check if we are getting any entry at all from the database. So I'm going to have to set token row. We have to see, okay, let's say that length. All right. If it is the length is equal to 0, that means there is no token of such in our database, or the token has expired, because we're also checking for expiration. Okay, so we should have and clause where token is this and expires at is greater than that. Okay, so yeah, if there is no entry with that token in our database, or the token has expired, we're also going to be returning false response to success is false. Okay, so we're going to have the errors property, which is going to contain errors. Okay, it is going to be invalid So here we're going to have our data, and that is going to be token. Okay, so this is going to be empty. All right, password is also going to be empty. Okay, because the user is trying to reset their password. So if the link has expired or anything, we want to clear out the form. We're also going to have confirmed password, which is going to be empty also. So that is going to clear out all the inputs in the form. All right. So if this did not execute, that means we are having an entry in our database without token. So we're going to be getting a user ID from that entry. So user ID is going to be reset token row, set token row. We're getting the first object from it. Then I'm going to have a user ID. Okay, so now we need to hash a user password. The newly provided user password, we need to hash it. We're not going to be storing it as a plain text in a database. Okay, that is vulnerable. All right, so I'm going to have bgrapes.hash. Okay, so I'm going to provide the user provided password. We also need to provide the factor. Okay. So after hashing the password and getting the user ID, now we need to update the password in the user table. Okay, so since we need to update the user table, and we also need to delete the token from the password entry, since the user has utilized the token, we need to delete it from the password reset table. So we want to perform two operations at once, that both of them must either be successful together or they should fail together. So we need to use transaction for that. So we need to start a transaction here. Clients.query. I'm going to have a begin. I'm going to start a transaction for us. After starting the transaction, let's first update the user table before we delete the entry. So I'm going to have clients.query. Okay, so here we're going to say update user practice for this, update users table. Okay, then we're going to be setting password password underscore hash. We're going to be setting it to the newly hashed password. Okay, so where the user ID is equal to underscore sorry $2. Okay, and the user has a local authentication method as part of the authentication method. So NA, then we're going to have off underscore providers. Okay, so that's going to update the user entry. Now we need to provide the hashed password and the user ID. We need to have a hashed password. We need the user ID. Okay, let's make this camel case. Okay, so I'm going to now this is going to update the users table. Then we need to delete the token from our password reset table. I'm going to have a wait. I'm going to have a client dot query or template from password where where user underscore ID equals $1 and okay equals $2. Okay, so we need to provide both the user ID and the token user ID. Even though this user ID is actually not that compulsory, you can as well remove this from the filter, but let's just leave it. It doesn't bite. Okay, so that is going to delete the entry from the password reset table. Okay, so if both operations are successful, then we need to commit a transaction. So I'm going to have a commit. Okay, so that marks the end of successful reset of our user password. So we need to return a success response. So I need to have success to be true. Okay, and that we can just grab this message. This is actually where we need the message. Okay, I'm going to delete that and I'm going to that here. Now, if an error occurs when we are doing all of that, we are going to be handling our error here. So we're going to share if client is without if the connection has been came from database. So we need to roll back the transaction. So we're going to have to wait client dot So we're going to have okay. But this is also an asynchronous call. So let's write this in our custom try cache. So I'm going to have my try cache. We will go and to pass this as a callback function. Okay. This is going to confirm that it is possibly null, but we've checked there if it is true or not. So we're just going to assert that this is not null. Okay. And after doing all of that, we're going to be also logging the error here. Okay. Even though this is not necessary, this is just for development. It's going to be console logging. So I'm going to say error expecting and password. That when we are testing this out, there was an error. We can easily see where the error is coming from. So after that, we need to return an error response to user. So we need to have return, and success is going to be false. Okay. We need to pass our data. So data is going to be, this is supposed to be comma, not colon. Data is going to be raw data, and then with errors. Okay. Errors is going to be so errors. Okay. So this is going to be an error of code. One is setting, yeah, sure. Okay. We save that. Now we are good to go. But before we leave, we need to release our database connection back to the code. When we obtain a connection at this point, we need to release that back to the code. Okay, so let's use the finally clause for that. We need to have finally. Okay, so I'm going to say client dot release. Okay. Okay, so we need to add this optional chain because we are not sure if the connection has already been obtained from the that is going to guide us from possible. So we need to save this now. Now let's test out our password instead. So I'm going to go to forgot password. Okay. I'm going to provide my email. Alright, I'm going to submit that. So I'm going to proceed to my email. See if I have a new mail. I'm going to refresh. Okay, I have a new one. I'm going to click on this. That's going to direct me to the reset password page. I'm going to provide a new password. Okay, I'm going to say this is my password. Okay, so I'm going to reset my password. Okay, so password reset successfully, redirecting to sign in page. Okay, so let me try to sign in with my new password. Okay, so this is already signing password. Okay, can I sign in? All right, so my password has been reset successfully. Okay, let me retry that again with a new password, with a different password. Just want to make sure that we are not leaving any error behind. So, okay, so I'm going to retry that one time. I'm going to go to my mail. Okay, so fast and easy. Let's start with validation. Good. Okay, so now let's go. Let's see what we have. The password has been set successfully. Try out the new password. Okay, let me test the old password. Okay, validating my password. Good. And the new password. And voila, I'm able to sign in. Right, so that's all for this video, and that marks the end of everything that has to do with local authentication with email and password. So as for next video, we'll start dealing with OAuth, with Google, with Github, and all of that. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll be seeing you next one.